A deep sigh sounded before her eyelids slowly fluttered open. Her body ached as if it had been used intensely all night. The overwhelming sensations that had enveloped her for hours felt vague, almost like a dream. Benita wasn't sure what really happened the night before. Why was I completely naked when I woke up? The last thing he saw before falling into a deep sleep was Queen's face. Could it have just been a dream? She asked herself repeatedly, frowning. But when? Her feet touched the cold ground and her fragile legs had no strength to support her. She knew immediately that it was all real. Where were you? The person who should be the first to see when he woke up. Where had he gone? The bright sun indicated that it was already late, but that didn't matter as much as the doubt that tormented her. If that really happened, why did you wake up alone? And if it had just been a dream, why was his body so sore? The burning sensation between her thighs indicated that she had been touched, truly explored. Thinking about it was no use. With difficulty, she managed to support herself and enter the bathroom, after resting for almost 10 minutes. Walking normally was not easy when her legs were shaking like that, as if she had overdone it with physical exercise. But when she entered the bathroom, instead of simply washing herself as she wanted, Benita stood paralyzed in front of the large mirror. Her reflection showed a naked body covered in red marks. She could hardly imagine which parts of her body had not been touched the night before. Her neck had a few scattered marks, not very large, but when he looked down, he saw that her breasts were covered in bites mixed with reddish bruises. The nipples were sensitive, as if they had been stimulated all night. Feeling ashamed, she covered her chest with her hands. Looking down at her abdomen, she bit her lip as she noticed marks even around her belly button. Benita closed her eyes immediately, not daring to look any further down. The images were vague, but the sensations were becoming clearer. She had been completely taken over the night before. But speaking of which, waking up alone after remembering what happened was enough to make her heart drop. Everything he had was taken by Queen. Everything, in fact. Only his heart remained, which still hesitated to be given. What if, for Queen, it had all been nothing more than a passing pleasure? What would she do? She didn't want to be disappointed in love. She wanted to love just one person for a long time. That's why this fear dominated her. In the silence between the two, nothing was clear. A sigh. After washing herself, feeling more refreshed, Benita took the liberty of opening her wardrobe and putting on a white shirt to cover her body. There was no sign of her clothes anywhere, and there was no one there to ask permission. The voices coming from outside stopped the moment the bedroom door opened. Kurafat frowned as he looked in the direction of the sound, while Kita raised his eyebrows in surprise to see Benita walking out of the room wearing only a dress shirt. The red marks on her neck and thighs made it clear what had happened. Oh. Benita didn't expect to meet a man like that either. She was so embarrassed that she stopped immediately, not realizing that she was irritating someone. "What are you looking at, King?" Kurafat asked his older brother, who quickly looked away. Before Benita could understand anything, she was pulled back into the room, confused. "Why did you go out dressed like that?" "I wanted to know why I woke up with nothing and full of marks on my body. What happened?" Benita faked a sudden amnesia just to see how Queen would react. Would she pretend not to know anything? Or would she get angry, as she had promised before? But what really bothered her was not finding Queen when she woke up. At least in those moments, she could wait until she was awake. Waking up without her was scary. What if you left the room and couldn't find her? What would you do? "Don't you remember?" Kurafat asked, his voice lower, his gaze less intense. In addition to the irritation that Benita had exposed herself to her brother, a feeling akin to disappointment appeared on his face. "No, I don't remember." Benita's innocent look made Queen believe her. For the first time, the imposing woman looked vulnerable. Normally, Queen was like a queen in her castle with no weaknesses, but now she seemed to have let her guard down. "I just remember that I drank and started to feel really hot. You took me to the car, and the next thing I knew, I woke up here, covered in bruises." Queen sighed deeply and looked at her again, a serious tone in her voice. "Are you sure you don't remember?" "You don't believe me." "I just want to make sure you're not lying. Because if you are, I promise you won't be leaving this room anytime soon. Why? If you don't remember, do you want me to refresh your memory? From the bathroom to the bed. Why are you silent? I asked what happened. I didn't ask you to remind me. Because, in fact, I remember it very well. In the end, Benita admitted the truth. From her words and her gaze, it was obvious that she was saying what she truly felt. If she let the matter drag on, she might end up being forced to relive it all. Over again, and her body definitely couldn't handle any more punishment from that insatiable woman. You're cheeky, Queen muttered, pulling Benita by the waist. Her body felt even lighter than the night before, perhaps because she was lacking strength and had not eaten anything yet. She was so fragile that. Queen worried that if she squeezed her too tightly, she would end up hurting herself. I already repeated everything. You can repeat it again. I already told you, use it again. If you don't remember, I'll finish you. Benita arched her eyebrow before replying. I haven't seen anyone finish anyone off yet. We'll see. She reaffirmed her words as she firmly gripped the other woman's slender waist. Benita always stood up to her in everything. In fact, she was good at fighting back. Even in bed, she didn't back down. Would this woman ever think of giving in? Don't you know that letting me wake up alone after an intense battle isn't cute at all? I just left quickly to take care of something. Kurafat immediately retorted. What do you mean she abandoned her? That was an exaggerated accusation. But that's okay. I'll consider that you helped me. To help? Yes. After all, I was the one who asked you last night, wasn't I? Kurafat's serious face returned. The mood that seemed to be improving fell apart the moment Benita said that. We are nothing. You don't need to take responsibility for what happened. I'm not a child to cry about what happened. I understand. Kurafat released her hand from Benita's waist and immediately took a step back. She shouldn't feel this way, but she couldn't help it. The disappointment that was growing inside her made her not even want to look at the other's face at that moment. Don't make that angry face. Benita walked over and raised her hand to touch the corner of the woman's mouth, which now displayed only sternness. The weight of the atmosphere was so intense that she wondered if she had done something wrong without realizing it. Normally, no matter what she said, the other woman never reacted like this. Why would today be any different? This time, it was Benita who frowned as her hand was slapped away, as if her touch was unwelcome. If you want me to pretend nothing happened, then I'll do that. But don't think I'd sleep with anyone who asked, just to help. I'm not that nice. Are you angry? And why wouldn't I be? Kurafat replied in a harsh voice. Silence filled the space, completely filling the room and making everything suffocating. I'll talk to King for a moment. When I'm done, I'll let you know. As for your clothes, I'll ask the maid to bring them. And why does it have to be the maid? Or should it be me? Benita realized at that moment that Kurafat was really angry. Her face, her gaze, and even her voice betrayed it. Furthermore, the coldness with which he treated her made her heart tighten. These feelings shouldn't even exist, but they were there. When you cross the finish line, victory is yours. But if you refuse to accept it, it means you have already lost your prize to someone else. I don't understand. Benita replied in a soft tone. But I know you understand. What had happened between them the night before was not something that could be erased. It had happened over and over again. So by acting as if nothing had happened, as if it wasn't important, Benita was making it clear that she didn't want anything more than what already existed between them. The relationship between the two would be stagnant. No elevator to go up, no stairs to walk. From now on, they would just be boss and employee. Why are you mad at me? Benita stood in front of the door, stopping Kurafat from leaving. Why act like she had done something wrong by trying to take responsibility for what had happened? Did she even have the right to want something more between them? Kurafat had never said anything about it either. That's none of your business. Don't act like a child queen. That's none of your business either. The stern look Kurafat gave her made her heart ache. She hated that look. She didn't want that. Don't look at me like that. And who do you think you are to give me orders? Get out of the way. I don't have time to talk to you. I don't want to be mad at you. Kurafat let out a dry laugh, grabbed Benita's arm, and pulled her away from the door. That's your business. But instead of backing away, Benita just stared at her with teary eyes. She didn't even have time to react when the tears fell. It wasn't because of pain, not because she had squeezed her arm, but because Kurafat was being cold. Adding that to the effort of appearing strong, it was too much to hold back. You are hurting me. Hearing this, Kurafat immediately released his hand as if it had touched fire. His face remained stern, but the anger was still there. I'm not going to do anything to you. You don't need to cry. I just wanted you to move out of the way. Did it hurt that much? Yes. Benita nodded and wiped her tears with the back of her hand before looking at her. It actually hadn't hurt that much, but the tears came because Kurafat was angry. Now you have to take responsibility. Hi, for what? I don't know. If you don't know, why did you say that? Don't come demanding responsibility without even knowing why. Kurafat's harsh tone made Benita feel like she no longer wanted to hold back. You wanted her to speak. Very well then. Why wouldn't I know? I'm your woman now, all night in fact. You only know how to be hard on me, don't you? Is this how you're going to be for the rest of your life? Are you never going to talk to me properly? Kurafat frowned. Are you really awake? Did you forget what you said before? So what? Can't you at least try to win me over? Show that you care about what will happen to us? Or are you just going to accept what I say without question, and then get angry like a child? Do I have to win you over? You were the one who pissed me off first. Yes, and... Kurafat let out another dry laugh, running his hand through his hair to try to contain his growing anger. He tried to control himself so as not to shake Benita until he made her understand. She had barely woken up and was already arguing with her. I wanted to talk to you about this too, but when I saw you, you said that I didn't need to do anything, that I could just consider it as help. So tell me, how should I react? And you think I'm not afraid? Don't raise your voice at me. Kurafat scolded her. Her brother was outside the room, not that close. Besides, she wasn't the type to explain or tell her personal matters to others. It wasn't that she was ashamed of anything, she just didn't like it. Then why did you raise your voice at me first? Beautiful, speak properly. When she was reprimanded, Benita remained silent, saying nothing. It didn't matter. If she wanted to get angry enough to not want to talk, kick her out, or do anything, she could do it. She didn't have the patience to explain anything at that moment. She took a step back, away from the heavy door, and spoke in a soft tone. I'm not in your way anymore. Go ahead. Please ask the maid to bring my clothes as soon as possible, so I can go back to my room and get ready. Excellent. Kurafat wanted to sigh out loud. Not even 10 minutes had passed, and the stubborn girl had already become irritated and sulked, making her seem like the one in the wrong in the situation. Even though she had started it first, what kind of relationship was that anyway? You spoke in a way that irritated me first, and now you want to act offended. That's my problem. If you say one more ironic word, I'll kiss you right now. But if you kiss me, I'll consider you an apology. As soon as she finished speaking, Benita's face was gently lifted, followed by the light touch of his lips on hers. It wasn't a hungry or fierce kiss like the night before, but it made it clear that she really was apologizing in that way. The apology took several minutes. Afterwards, Benita left the room more tidy, with her hand being held firmly as she walked alongside. And the phrase that convinced her to follow it was, "Let's wait for King to leave and then we'll talk, but if you sulk again, I'll lock you in bed. You'll only be able to leave to go to the bathroom." You like giving orders, don't you? I gave several last night too. Have you forgotten? But it may be a long time before I need to be taught again. He is sure. I have. The main conversation with Kita was about what Kongthap did the night before. When the boy saw Benita's condition, he became furious. In addition to messing with his sister, Kongthap also caused his future sister-in-law to go through trouble. But he had to admit that he was impressed when Benita took the glass and drank it instead of Kurafat, without knowing what had been mixed into the drink. It was an impulsive act, but it showed that she would never betray her sister. Kurafat had finally met her match. When Kita left, silence filled the room again. Benita didn't know how to act. Unable to argue or find a way to win over the other, everything seemed strange. "Are you sleepy?" "What?" "Are you sleepy?" "A little." "But I'm hungry. Make me something to eat." "Do I look like a cook to you?" Kurafat shook his head. "No, you look like my wife." "If you deny it, I'll refresh your memory." "Has anyone ever told you that you are a dictator?" "Then feel happy. I'm only like this with those I care about. My sister, my brother, my family. Isn't it nice to be included in this?" "What do you want to eat?" Changing the subject. Yes, changing the subject. It was the first time Kurafat had seen Benita blush so much and look away in embarrassment. Deep down, she was just a small girl who was forced to act strong. "Come here." "Where to?" "You already worked hard enough last night. You don't have to cook for me." "Ah, I already sent for food." "I'm not teasing you, so you don't need to make that angry face. You don't scare me." "Why? My face looks cute to you, is that it?" "Where did you get this mania of thinking you're so good?" "They say that habits are absorbed through interaction, and lately, I've only been with you." "What do you think?" "You're asking for it." Benita often felt confused about herself. Part of her felt that she could be who she really was with Kurafat, without having to hide anything or live up to anyone's expectations. But another part of her mind insisted that they were very different. She had nothing that made her worthy of being by her side, no status, no fame, not even knowledge or skills. Standing next to Kurafat, she felt like she was betting everything. If she chose to move forward, she could never go back. But if she decided to stop here, she knew Kurafat would not wait for her. "How far do you think our story can go?" Kurafat immediately understood what she meant, and without answering right away, he moved closer until their shoulders touched. "You've cried before while I sat silently behind you, haven't you?" "Yes." "But today, if you cry, I'll hug you until you feel better, no matter the reason." "Do you think this is a good or bad change?" "I don't know." "You know." Kurafat gently cupped Benita's delicate face, lightly caressing her lips before resting his palm on her cheek. Benita was fragile like glass. She was ready to break at any moment, but at the same time, she didn't seem to fear this fragility. She just lived like that, between recklessness and fear. "Our history has long since passed the count of one. You know that." "Is that why you're so nice to me?" "That's why you're still here too, isn't it?" What the hell? Queen never gave direct answers. She always left riddles for Benita to figure out. But in the end, it was true. There was a reason Kurafat treated her well, just as there was a reason Benita didn't leave. Maybe it was something they both knew, even without having to say it. "When will you speak clearly?" "When the time is right." "I want to hear." "To hear." "What do you feel for me?" "Does someone who only trusts me 10% have the right to ask that?" "Even if I didn't trust you at all, I would still like to be the only person with the right to ask you anything." "Don't be sneaky." "What if I want to be?" "Babe." "What?" "So, what's your decision?" "About what?" "What are you still afraid of?" "Of everything." Kurafat sighed. "Then be as afraid as you want. I myself will make that fear disappear." "I never taught you to be conceited like that." Had anyone ever told Benita that her habit of constantly talking back made anyone want to provoke her? "Why should I be obsessed with you?" "Don't you think that would be an interesting idea?" Just as their faces were about to come closer, Benita's phone vibrated intensely. She looked at the screen and, upon seeing the name on the call, answered immediately without hesitation. "Before." She could say anything. A serious voice on the other end of the line began to speak. Benita, your mother asked someone to contact me. They said she is very sick, but has no money for treatment. Now she is bedridden at home. My mom. Benita frowned. Before she left home, her mother had seemed perfectly fine, with no signs of illness. The only thing that seemed to be affecting her was her drinking and gambling addiction. Other than that, nothing seemed to be able to bring her down. I don't know if it's true or not, but the photos they sent me show that she really looks like she's in bad shape. Why don't you go see how she is? Benita bit her lip, hesitant. I'll think about it. She ended the call and was lost in thought. It was at that moment that she felt Curafat's arms wrap around her waist, pulling her into a tight hug against his chest. You won't. What? Whatever you're thinking of doing, I won't allow it. Got it?